Welcome, and thank you for joining the candidate forum for the runoff races for school districts 1, 5, 6, and 8. This event is jointly sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Broward County, the Broward County Council of PTAs and PTSAs, and the Urban League's Young Professional Network. My name is Monica Elliott, and I am president of the Broward League, and I will also be the timekeeper for the forums. For those of you watching this live streamed on Facebook, this event will be continuous on Facebook, but we will be stopping the Zoom recording after each district's forum so that we have 4 separate recordings to upload to the League's YouTube channel. The League of Women Voters was formed 102 years ago, just before women obtained the right to vote in August 1920. We are a nonpartisan organization with the mission of making democracy work. We have never endorsed a party or a candidate in our 102-year history. Behind me, you will see a banner promoting the League's vote411.org website. At this website, you will find information provided by the candidates and their responses to written questions asked by the League. All the school board candidates in the runoff races responded. The site is just now going live today, and it will continue to be populated with all the races on your ballot over the next week. For tonight's event, we will begin with District 8, which is an at-large district. This means that every registered voter in Broward County can vote in this race. The candidates will have 1.5 minutes for their opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and 1.5 minutes for their closing statement. As before, I have my little star when there's 10 seconds left. And then when it's time to stop, we have the heart. Brenda Morrison with the Urban League's fabulous Young Professional Network is the moderator for the District 8 Forum. And now I will turn it over to Brenda.
Thank you so much, Monica. And thank you everyone for joining us for this timely forum and debate. My name is Brenda Morrison. I serve as the president for the Urban League of Broward County's Young Professionals Network, and we are the volunteer auxiliary for the Urban League of Broward County, a social service agency that has been serving the community since 1975 in the areas of education, entrepreneurship, jobs, justice, housing, and health. And our Young Professionals Network is an opportunity and a space for young professionals between the ages of 21 to 40 to get involved in their community. So we are going to get started with this evening's District 8 forum with a self-introduction. And so the first person that will go is Ms. Corn.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this forum. I think it's critically important, obviously, for the voters to be able to hear directly from the candidates so that they can make an informed decision. So with that said, I will tell you that a little bit about myself. I am myself a past teacher here in Broward County Public Schools. I taught at Western High School. I taught English, and it's actually my alma mater. So I went back and taught after having graduated there. And in fact, I am also a mom with 3 children. 2 of mine have already graduated from Western High School, and my third is actually still attending. So very proud. The children have gone from elementary all the way through high school. So I've had the opportunity to be a parent for Broward County Public Schools, as well as a teacher, and then ultimately a child advocate. I have been a child advocate my entire life. I've been very, very active in organizations like the Children's Services Council, the Early Learning Coalition, the Handy, and many others in all of my years. In addition to that, I've spent 28 years as a business professional in Broward County Public Schools. So I have been a commercial real estate agent, and therefore I interact with businesses across not just this county, but across the state as they find Broward County as their new home. With that said, I am very happy to say in all of my years of service, which I have been on the school board for the last 11 years, I have earned the endorsements of Broward Teachers Union, the AFL-CIO, Broward Firefighters, BPAA, Engage Florida, the Hispanic Vote, and Equality Florida. I'm very proud to be able to say I have partnered with these organizations over the years, as well as so many individuals. In fact, one of the last things I was able to do at the end of the last school board their school year was actually helped to host an educator appreciation event. We had almost 2,000 educators, and it all came from a teacher chat at my home. Those are the kinds of things I've really, truly enjoyed, the opportunity to be your public servant for these last 11 years and look forward to 4 more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Corn. And Mr. Zeman, you can begin now with your self-introduction.
Oh, thank you very much. Dr. Elliott, Brenda, thank you very much for conducting this forum. It is critical, as Donna pointed out. I am Alan Zeman. I'm the other candidate for District 8 countywide school board seat. And tonight I want to talk to you about something that really matters. If you want the political resume and all that information, you can go to electalanzeman.com. It's all there. What you'll find by any standard is I'm the candidate with the most qualifications for this office. Tonight, though, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about why I'm running. I'm running because I want to continue serving. Serving has been a consistent activity throughout my entire life. After earning my PhD in economics, I served as a civilian working for the Navy, and after 3 years at sea, I was asked to be part of the Bill Clinton administration in Washington, D.C. There, as part of his administration, we worked to implement practical solutions. Among other things, we were the first administration to allow gay service members to remain on active duty. At this contentious time, it is critical that we elect people who are in the race for the right reasons. I'm in this race because being a school board member is the best way for me to serve my community. Just like I did in my 20-year civil service career, I want to serve something bigger than myself. There are 3 specific ways I want to serve. I want to serve Broward County school system because they employed my father for 30 years and provided for our family. I want to serve Broward County school system because they've been a B-rated school district for 10 years, and that's not good enough. And I want to serve because my 3 youngest children of my 7 are Broward County students, and they deserve, just like 260,000 students in Broward County, a great education. That's why I'm running for Broward County School Board, to serve Broward County. I'm Alan Zeman, candidate for school board, and I approve of this message.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zeman, for your introduction, and we will begin with the questions. The first question will go to you, Ms. Corn. In light of the grand jury report, what changes do you think need to be in place in the district?
So I greatly appreciate that question. Actually, the grand jury report was completed some time ago. And I can say that I have been frustrated throughout this process because as a leader on the school board, there have been so many things that we've needed to done. And unfortunately, all of them haven't been able to be implemented, but I can tell you a whole bunch of the things that have, not only before the grand jury report, but since then. We brought in an independent auditor, RSM audit came in, and they actually have told us consistently over the time period in which we've been going through this bond process, what things that we can do. We've identified them and we've acted on them. Additionally, when we set up the bond, we brought in Tax Watch. We have taken their advice on a quarterly basis. We look at not only theirs, but the bond committee that we had set up. We look at their advice, we look at their takeaways, and we have, again, acted on them. We have worked very closely with our CBRE, who was our program manager. We changed that program manager to AECOM because we realized they were not effectively getting the job done. We have made changes that not only were pointed out in the grand jury, but far beyond that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Corn. And Mr. Zeman, I will also pose the same question to you. In light of the grand jury report, what changes do you think need to be in place in the district?
Well, I think there's a number of things, to be honest with you, Brenda. There are changes that happened, but Florida Tax Watch has called the execution of this bond a disaster. One of the things the grand jury pointed out is that Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County, 2 very similar counties to Broward County, executed a very similar sized bond, and they executed on the time that they promised and completed the projects that they promised the voters. Broward County is horrendously behind schedule, over budget, and it's oversight that normally would have been required to execute something as big as a smart bond just didn't happen. In the same way that Broward County has been a B-rated school district for 10 years. At some point, we have to take responsibility for these things. We can't just whitewash them. We can't say we did some things. We have to look at the measurable outcomes. And the measurable outcomes for the smart bond, for the overall education quality in Broward County is not where it should be, and it's not where it could be. So I think that grand jury report had some interesting findings in it. I think the overall one is that the Broward County School Board needs to be strategic, needs to be focused on measurable outcomes, and needs to perform better and make sure that we keep students first. Because if we kept students first, we would not have gotten into the predicament we are with the smart bond.
Thank you so much for your response, Mrs. Zeman. I will go to the second question. What strategies will you propose to fill the knowledge gap that now exists due to the departure of key senior administrators? And that question will begin with Mr. Zeman.
Well, I think change was overdue on Broward County senior staff. I am not intimately familiar with all of the people that work there, but as a voter in Broward County, as someone who cares deeply about the education that's being offered, I trust Dr. Cartwright to have made some good, strong decisions about who to remove. The people that need to come in, though, ought not to be people that we find quickly. They ought to be people that we find who are passionate and highly qualified to lead the 6th largest school district in the United States. They need to have a board that has their backs, but also holds them accountable through the superintendent. So I feel like the process that we've used up to this point has been wanting. I think we have filled jobs with people that we knew and people who could come quickly. I think we need to slow down. I think we need to invite some national experts into Broward County and make sure that what we have, in fact, are executives that can lead the divisions that they're assigned to. Thank you for the question, Brenda.
Thank you so much for your response, Mrs. Zeman. And Ms. Korn, I will also pose the same question to you. What strategies will you propose to fill the knowledge gap that now exists due to the departure of key senior administrators?
So I will tell you, there's not many more important questions than that, right? And so with that said, I will tell you, I don't think we need to slow down at all. In fact, I have to tell you that what we have to be doing, which is really forging ahead with every opportunity that we can, but again, being strategic as we do that, right? And so as we do that, we started tutoring. There are opportunities. We saw some that were more successful than others. So being able to fine tune which of those programs that are going to be successful. No one can do this on their own. As large as the Broward County School District is, we need partners like the Children's Services Council, like the Urban League and what they do for our youth, as well as Handy and the Flight Center, and so many that are pivotally important. They actually, the Boys and Girls Club, they're able to take the work we do and to expand it. And regarding expanding it, expanding our learning opportunities. It's something that we've done. This is a year-round opportunity for learning. In the summers, during our winter breaks, during our spring breaks, all of those are opportunities and we shouldn't miss a single one of them. So slowing down isn't something that we have time to do. And in fact, we need to be doubling down. As a board member, I push that every single meeting, and I promise I will continue to do just that.
Thank you so much for your response, Ms. Korn. We will move along to the next question, and it will be posed to you first, Ms. Korn. How do you propose to support our diverse population of students and staff in light of the passage of HB 1557, Don't Say Gay Bill, and HB 7, Stop Woke Act?
So this is something actually, and I face not just these types of challenges, but others as a school board member, and not being afraid is the way that we approach this, making sure that our staff members understand that we are there to support them, making sure that, yes, we are aligned with those statutes, but at the same time, making sure that we afford the type of support that if there is a challenge, we're there, not actually behind them, but next to them. We are making sure all of the resources that they need are made available to them. And at the same time, we stand up and we continue to do things like advocating for all of those types of things, those people who are negatively impacted by this. We need our students and our families to know that we support them and we love them here in Broward County Public Schools, whether they're a student, they're a staff member, or family. So if you're in the LGBTQ community or in any of the other, if you're a Black student or you happen to be a Hispanic student, someone who is denigrated by these acts, those are the types of people we need them to know that we are there for them. We are not backing down, and we're going to continue to support them and make sure that we bring education that moves forward our community.
Thank you so much for your response, Ms. Korn. Mr. Zeman, I also pose the same question to you. How do you propose to support our diverse population of students and staff in light of the passage of House Bill 1557, Don't Say Gay Bill, and House Bill 7, Stop Woke Act?
Well, I think we have to create kind of an all hands on deck approach to this. In my mind and in the minds of Broward County voters, diversity is a great strength, and we have to double down against the political alignment of these two bills and make sure that we ensure that people know that diversity is a strength. It isn't something to I print posters about. It's not something just to do stories about. It's to recognize that we are a great county because of our diversity. It's the students, it's the staff, it's the families, it's the residents of Broward County. It is a great strength. And there's a number of things that we could do outside of this law that would make sure that we are reinforcing this idea that diversity is our greatest strength. And those things are too numerous to mention in a 60-second response, Brenda. But I've been working on these things my whole life. I have been very, very active in issues related not just to sexual preference, but to ethnicity and race. And I will continue to work on those things to make sure that what we do ensures that everyone knows, both staff, students, and families and residents, that diversity is a strength, not something to be shied away from, and certainly not something to be denigrated.
Thank you so much for your response, Mr. Zeman. I will move along to the next question. As a school board member, what would guide your decision-making, especially with topics where there are strong differences of opinion or when decisions involve the allocation of limited resources? And that question will be posed to you, Mr. Zeman, first.
Thank you very much, Brenda. To me, there's two very consistent things in my last 32 years of being an executive in the Navy, in industry, serving on boards. One is to keep your customer front and center. And the customer in our industry is really the students. And so that's my first principle, is you keep students first and you continue to ask questions about what would work best for them and for their learning. I am worried that for the past 10 years, that has not been central. And the evidence of that is we're still a B-rated school district. The second, though, is also just as important, which is we have to recognize that there are some parts of Broward County schools that have been left behind. Some people talk about the I-95 corridor. I don't care how you describe this geographically, but we have to get real about equitable resource allocation. We have to make up for where we have let things fall behind in facilities, in teacher quality, in leadership selections, and anything else related to resources, and make sure that we are serious about equity by putting money where money needs to go so that we can get the outcomes that we all desire in all of our schools, not just the schools that have new buildings and great teachers and the best handpicked leaders. We have to invest in all of our schools, and we need to do it from day one.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Zeman, for your response. And Ms. Korn, I'll also pose the same question to you. As a school board member, what would guide your decision-making, especially with topics where there are strong differences of opinion or when decisions involve the allocation of limited resources?
So I've spent 11 years in just that situation, right? We have had limited resources and there have been a lot of people who have different priorities. At the end of the day, our job is to deliver the highest quality of education. And my decisions are always made on an outcome-driven decision-making process. I look to see what are our inputs. Those are important, but at the end of the day, what's actually working? What is having the most success? One of the things I think has been very successful is allowing individual schools to work within their communities to be able to say, these are the things that are working best for my community and for my family. Because at the 6th largest school district, there isn't one decision that necessarily is going to be able to have the best positive impact on every community. We have different partners in different communities. We need to work with those individual partners throughout our communities, our families. The core of any kind of good decision starts with listening. You have to listen first. You have to listen to your families. You have to listen to your staff members, your educators, your administrators. You have to be able to listen to your students. Once you hear their voice, then you can make the appropriate decisions. And again, always outcome driven.
Thank you so much for your response, Ms. Korn. I will move along to the next question. What do you think needs to be done so that Broward County Public Schools obtains a ranking like Miami-Dade and Palm Beach? And that question will go to Ms. Korn first.
Thank you very much. I am so glad you brought that up. So making sure that we are focusing on each individual student being successful. Certainly being a an A district is important. We were actually only 1 point away from being an A district. Of the top 6, yes, there were 2 that had A's. We were 1 point away from being that A. And all that means is we have that much more of a challenge to make sure that we do. But as important as those letters are, it's how important, how driven, and how successful is my own child, right? We all like those letters, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that every single student is reaching their highest potential. We have to make sure that every single student is reached. And for some students, them getting an A on a test is just as successful as another student getting that C, because maybe they came from different struggles and maybe they came from a different starting place. But successes are the ways that we look at every individual child and we make sure we embrace them and we give them that full support. And we have to do it not just educationally, but socially and emotionally as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your response, Ms. Korn. And I'll also pose the same question to you, Mr. Zeman. What do you think needs to be done so that Broward County Public Schools obtains an A ranking like Miami-Dade and Palm Beach?
Well, I think, the cheeky answer is at least something different than we've done for the last 10 years. This has been staring us in the face for a long time. And I don't think that the system that's been in place has been serious enough and strategic enough and thoughtful enough and allocated resources in the right way to equal the quality of education that we have in our county to the south and our county to the north. I think we need to take a different approach, no doubt. But that approach might actually be to look at Miami-Dade and Palm Beach and try and do much better, to set an aspirational goal of the 6th largest school district in the country being the best school district in the country, to learn from national resources like the Education Trust and the research industry that's out there on schools, to make sure that we're not just shooting to be A, but we're shooting to be number 1. I think the best way to become an A district is to try and be the best school district in the country. And then the A district is an obvious outcome from that. But what we've done for the last 10 years of remaining a B district is clearly not what we want to do anymore. So number 1, we need to change. Number 2, we need to adopt the absolute best practices that we can to get the businesses involved, to get retirees involved, to get volunteers involved in a fundamentally different way, and to really keep that focus on that measurable outcome, which is student learning.
Muted. Thank you so much for your response, Mr. Zeman. And we will now move into the final question for this forum. What additional measures do you believe should be implemented to keep our children safe while in school? That question will go to Mr. Zeman.
Could you repeat that, Brenda? I'm sorry, I missed a few words.
What additional measures do you believe we should be implemented to keep our children safe while in school?
Wow. So I spent my first 20 years being a national security expert, Brenda and Dr. Elliott, and we live and die with security. And I can tell you as a father of 3 kids in Broward County schools that what we're doing meets a standard, but it is a compliance system. And we have to get past compliance, and we have to make sure that what happened in Uvalde, Texas, which is everybody knew there was a broken door. Nobody turned in a work order to get it fixed, but nobody had the guts and the courage to say, I won't come to that school again until you fix the door. And that's the kind of thinking we need. We need 34,000 people, 260,000 students, and everyone in Broward County to be thinking about the safety of our students. It is a sad, sad world that there are mean, bad, evil people in our country that have access to massive guns with incredible military capability, and they've decided to target our students. We need to wake up to that being the reality of today, and we need to have a systematic approach to safety and security, not a compliance approach, because the compliance approach will just allow you to check off a list, will allow you to do an infinite number of drills, but it won't really make the kids safe, and it will not prevent an Uvalde kind of thing. So that's what we need to do about safety and security.
Thank you so much for your response, Mrs. Zeman. And Ms. Korn, I'll also pose the same question to you. What additional measures do you believe should be implemented to keep our children safe while in school?
So as a mother, making sure that every single day, not only my own daughter comes home from school, but every other child in Broward County comes home from school is critically important. There's more to safety than just that as well, right? It's also emotionally them having that safety. And so we've implemented quite a bit of additional resources for our students to be able to lean on, whether they are social workers or psychology. But beyond that, There's some other technology we've brought in. So for instance, here comes the bus. It's something I've championed for the last 8 years. I'm thrilled. You can actually watch now live time. Where is your child's bus? This will be coming this month. Where is your child's bus? Has it already left? Is it on its way back? Has it broken down? This way you actually know that extra level of safety and security. In addition to that, we have to continue to have cutting edge technology. We had over 2,500 smart cameras installed in our school districts across this county. That was something that basically a camera can tell you whether or not there's an action that needs to be paid attention to and someone needs to quickly take action. In addition to that, see something, say something has been phenomenally successful. What does that mean? When we talk about listening to kids, that is hearing their voice and acting on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Corn, for your response, and we will now move into closing statements. Ms. Corn, you can go ahead and go first with your closing statements.
Thank you. So again, thank you for this forum. I love these opportunities. It gives us an opportunity to really speak to the voters and let them hear who we are in terms of our actions as well as our heart. I have spent my entire life being a child advocate. I have dedicated my life. In addition to being a professional, I have said this is one of the most important things anyone can do, and I've done that through my actions. In terms of my priorities, safety and security, we've already spoken about. Certainly educator pay. It is critically important. My own sister, my best friend are teachers, and they every single day have to look and see, how am I going to pay my bills? We can't allow that anymore. I have fought for it. We put the referendum. Our taxpayers have made that available to us, and we continue to fight and make sure that we spend every dollar that we get from Tallahassee in the best place. Ultimately, life skills. We have to make sure that when our kids walk across that stage, which by the way, since 2016-17, our graduation rates, federal graduation rates have gone from 81% to 89.1%. So when we talk about what is a district doing, I get that everyone wants this letter, but at the end of the day, what we really want is our kids to be walking across that stage. We have a JROTC program that has a 99% graduation rate. What does that mean? That means we have identified, we have grown, and we continue to support not only those programs, but other ones very similar to them, where we can continue to see where kids are engaged, they're loving learning, life skills. We have to make sure that our kids are walking not out just across the stage, but walking with something in hand, where they're going to be employable and they have a path and they're driven, they believe in themselves, and this community is here to support them. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. I truly look forward to another 4 years to be able to serve as your public servant.
Thank you so much, Ms. Corn, for your closing statements. And Mr. Zeman, you can begin with your closing statements.
Thanks again. Urban League and the League of Women Voters together is quite a combination. Two amazing organizations doing great things. I want to repeat what I started with. I'm running for this office because it's a chance for me to continue to serve others. But I also want to finish with risk, because we have a reality in this race that there's a risk involved in the way that this outcome of the race unfolds. The risk is that if I don't get the greatest number of votes, that Governor DeSantis might choose again to do what he can do constitutionally, which is to remove Donna Corn. And we'd be in a situation where there'd be 2 school members on the Broward County School Board that were appointed by our governor. I think that Broward voters need to decide whether they want to take that risk or not. I am not subject to that risk. I am here to serve for 4 years. I have served on a number of other school boards and education advisory boards. I ran the largest training and education system in the world for 8 years. So I feel like I'm a credible and qualified candidate, probably the most qualified candidate in this race. But if we really care about students, can we afford to take the risk of having a Governor DeSantis appointee on our board? That's really the vote, the decision that sits before voters in Broward County. Elect somebody that can stay on the board guaranteed for 4 years and bring all of his experience in education and qualifications and executive presence to the board, or elect someone else who can be subjected to being removed. And that's just the reality. It's not the race that I wanted, but it's the race that we have. If we care about students, will the voters want to take that risk?
Thank you so much for your closing statement, Mr. Zeman, and thank you both, Ms. Corn and Mr. Zeman, for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. Dr. Elliott, good to see you.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it, and to all those watching as well. Thank you.
So thank you to the District 8 school board candidates for participating in this forum. So now we're going to take just a few minutes to change over to School District 5 school board forum. So the live streaming is going to continue while we do this. So please be patient if you're watching this on Facebook. But I am going to stop the recording.